I give the floor to the representative of Russian Federation.
President, we'd like to thank the UN Special Coordinator for the Middle East, Mr. Nikolai Mladenov, for his report on the situation in the occupied Palestinian territories. We'd like to welcome you as State Secretary and Head of the Chancellery, Mr. Christoph Chargé as well. The Middle East is at the centre of global politics. The region is beset by many crises, both old and new. Russia has been carefully following the development of the situations, and we, alongside states of the region, have years of ties based on mutual respect, mutually beneficial cooperation, and shared interests. We're very concerned to note the ongoing tension in the process of the Israel-Palestinian peace process. Again, it further compounds the ongoing settlement activities. It is compounded by the settlement activities of Israel and the situation in the Gaza Strip. Against this backdrop, it is clear that any unilateral actions do not lead us towards a solution of old and new problems in the region. Particularly pernicious is the situation when some UN member states try to put governments of other states beyond the reach of the law. As, like the majority of our partners, see it clearly that the only way out of all of this is pooling international and regional efforts with a central role played by the UN and its Security Council. This premise must be the springboard for all relevant efforts and initiatives. Statements made in this hall a month ago by the Special Representative of the US on the Middle East peace process, Mr. Jason Greenblatt, are still fresh in our memory. Honestly, statements on the uselessness of seeking consensus on the Middle East peace process within the UN and the futility of relevant Council resolutions are of great concern to us. Choosing to destroy all that has been achieved towards creating an independent Palestinian state living in peace alongside Israel is fraught with the most terrible consequences for the entire region. It would only allow for further radicalization on the Arab streets. In light of the statement of American colleagues on the need to review and revise old decisions of the UN on the Middle East peace process, I'd like to recall that it was thanks to Resolution 181 of the UN General Assembly that Israel was created. This is referred to the Declaration of Independence of Israel. I'd like to know how far are USA ready to go in reviewing old and unnecessary decisions? For our side, we are convinced that unilateral actions, while ignoring international law, will have no results. They are pernicious for fair and long-standing solution to old, long-standing Israel and Palestinian issues. We would call for the existing quartet of international mediators as the only mechanism to support Middle East process as approved by Security Council resolutions. President, Russia is making a hefty contribution to promoting a whole series of activities on the Middle East process, including through potential platforms for meetings between Israel and Palestine without preconditions. Also, we're undertaking efforts to re-establish inter-Palestinian unity, and we welcome the steps taken by our Egyptian colleagues in this direction. Against this backdrop, it is high time to send a Security Council mission to the region, and many of my colleagues have already mentioned this. It should increase trust and allow for relaunch of negotiations between parties. It is unacceptable to have a failure of efforts which have been made by the international community towards ensuring conditions for unity and a viable solution based on international law. This was the foundation of the work of the Security Council, and its revision should be done within the Security Council too. No unilateral steps will allow us to replace the key principles of the two states, the Madrid principles, the Arab Peace Initiative, and all the status of occupied territories, including the Syrian Golan. We continue to provide assistance to UNRWA. The activities of UNRWA are not only humanitarian, but also political, have a political dimension too, and they provide an important stabilization effect in the Palestinian territories and within Middle Eastern countries. All final status issues, including Jerusalem, fundamental issues of security, refugees, as well, should be the result of direct negotiations between Palestinians and Israelis. Seeking consensus on these sensitive issues during direct negotiations is a prerequisite for their perennity. President, we consistently call on all interested parties to take steps for de-escalation and to address problems in the Persian Gulf through political and diplomatic methods. Military build-up, including states outside the region, creates a risk of armed clashes. This crisis threatens peace and security in the Middle East as a whole, and also international efforts to provide a solution to the regional conflicts. Moreover, it is even more and more relevant to look at the need for drawing up a lasting mechanism for collective security in the region based on dialogue on equal footing and cooperation. The relevant Russian initiative is focused on addressing the deadlock in conflict situations, drawing up control and trust measures. We should continue our efforts also to eradicate the terrorist presence in countries of the region. We'd call on all forces to pool their efforts on this platform and to respect the UN Charter and relevant Security Council decisions, as well as the sovereignty and territorial integrity of states, and reject double standards. We'd insist that these principles must be complied with by all countries facing this evil: Syria, Iraq, Libya, and Yemen. President, I must also note that we're very concerned by information about what happened on the 25th of August, the incidents with 2 unmanned aerial vehicles. According to some data, these were Israeli intelligence drones. The situation is worsening at the same time by Israel's arbitrary missile strikes on targets in neighboring Syria. The most recent attack on a military facility around Damascus happened just last weekend. For our side, we have on many occasions indicated the danger of such activities, which are incandescent for the regional atmosphere, and we warned against this and warned that they could have large-scale military consequences. Again, we call on parties to demonstrate restraint and fully comply with international law, including relevant UN Security Council resolutions. In this context, we once again state we are committed to the sovereignty, independence, and territorial integrity and stability of Lebanon. At the same time, we affirm the importance of the role of UNIFIL, the mandate of which we are preparing to extend in the upcoming time. Activities of peacekeepers there has a stabilizing impact not only on the Blue Line but all within Lebanon and in the Middle East as a whole. Russia will actively work to support stabilization of the situation in the Middle East. We are ready to cooperate with all interested players, and we invite all of you to work collectively. Thank you very much.
I thank the representative of the Russian Federation for his statement.